Hi everyone, and welcome to Noona's Noonchi, where I do a deep dive into some of your favorite K-dramas from a mental health perspective. Let's talk about the Han in Han Ji-pyeong, Startup's most beloved favorite character. I mean, I'm sure you'll all agree. Han Ji-pyeong exudes Han, the emotional concept unique to the Korean culture, referring to a display or an array or spectrum of emotions from anger, hatred, resentment to deep sorrow, grief, remorse, and regret. And we see all that in Han Ji-pyeong. That tough exterior, right? He talks tough, he speaks harshly, and you know, sometimes we don't really like him. I think in the beginning you're like, whoa, that's really harsh. But beneath that all, you see a very soft-hearted guy, Han, the regret of the experience he had growing up as an orphan, aging out of the foster care system, having to survive on his own with very little money, starving by the time he met Halmuni, who changes his life. Halmuni's Halmuni, who becomes his Halmuni. Let's talk about that. From the get-go, Halmuni calls him sundengi, good boy, which he fights from the very beginning. He's like, I'm not sundengi. Han there, right? No one else really believed in him, perhaps. He didn't have parents. He's an orphan, didn't have role models, and we can see that. So Halmuni becomes his first role model, the first good influence in his life that we assume. And what's really neat about it is he does buy into the good boy, even though he fights it, right? We see that conflict. I'm not a good boy. You know, I'm rough around the edges. I'm tough. I got to survive. I don't need your help. And clearly that Han helps him survive. He's smart, and we see that gift. And yes, boy, does he become successful as an investor, venture capitalist. He really knows what he's doing. Now, early on, he takes Halmuni's money. She entrusted him with his money to take care of it because she knew he had a knack for it. He invests her money. It grows like 8 times over. And he feels like he has some right to it, right? So he doesn't really steal it, but there's a scene, here's a first example of Han, where he thinks that she gave that money that he invested to her son, Halmuni's dad, when she did it. She knows that he invested that money. It grew 8 times over, and she actually gives it to him. Now, he takes it and basically runs. There's a poignant scene where she goes to say goodbye to him, and she sends him off well. And that's where you see him crying. But he keeps going. He does take that money. The Han there is, again, the trauma of the experience growing up, right? No parents, an orphan, aging out of the foster care system, having no one to turn to. Halmuni believes in him, but so he still takes that money and goes, I'm going to be successful. His Han, or I would say vengeance to the world, to prove himself is to be successful. And so he does. Now, episode 9 and 12 show a breakdown of that Han in the sense of the regret and remorse he has and the duty and obligation he feels he owes to Halmuni because he took that money, right? We see that. We feel so much empathy and compassion for Han Ji-pyeong. I mean, this guy exuding the Han, that's why we felt so compassionate for him and empathetic and really wanted to see him win. Win in love, romantically, win in every aspect. We wanted Han Ji-pyeong to be the first lead. Side note, but it's because of his Han, and we really empathize with it. That's what I believe. Episode 9, he tells the Halmuni, listen, why can't I have the girl? Why can't I be with Halmuni? Why is it Nam-do-san and not me? That's the first time we see that he's really addressing that Han experience, right? The survival of don't touch me. I don't want to have any empathy. I got this. I can take care of myself. I don't need you. I'm successful, the tough talk. But then he breaks down there saying, but wait, I regret meeting you. He says a lot there because Halmuni is trying to break through that exterior. He keeps fighting it. What we see there is that self-conflict. And what I want to say with that, to remedy that, self-compassion. Episode 12, he cries in her arms. And, you know, we all cried in the scene when he finds out that she is going blind. He finds out from Nam-do-san. And he's like, I'm not a good boy. You know, you keep calling me a good boy. I'm a jerk. I'm terrible. I say these terrible things. I think I'm all that. And then at the end of the day, I suck, is basically what he's saying. His Han, the regret there, the regret and remorse is there. Just in just some of his actions, right? To have that tough exterior, to survive, the Han. But also, again, you can have dualities of experience. You see him going, ooh, but I also have this compassion. I just don't know how to show it. That's why we empathize with him. But then there is where we have to see, and what we want to see is him forgive himself. Halmuni, easily from the get-go, there was no even question of forgiveness when he took the money, right? She doesn't even question it. She wants to see him succeed. That's why he has that regret. That's turned to remorse, where he's like, I'm going to pay you back. And that's why he's done everything for her. The very last episode, when we're just bawling our eyes out, right? Because she's saying, hey, I don't want to just talk to you when you're successful. Come to me whenever you need, when you're not successful, when you're at the lowest of low. Don't be lonely. And he breaks down. Now, we felt so sad because we realized at that moment, the Han in him, right, has made him lonely. Folks, I want to be clear. Han can help you survive. It is a way to face that injustice and oppression and hatred and resentment and all the things that you might have experienced through trauma, intergenerational trauma, traumatic experiences, stress in your life, injustice, yes. But at the end of the day, it can prevent you from the happy emotions, the forgiveness, self-compassion that one needs to heal. Han is also about healing. Han Ji-pyeong, who exudes the Han, needs to heal. In episode 16, when he's breaking down through Halmuni's heartwarming words of don't be lonely anymore, this is where we see the shift in his healing. Before, he was all about making money, right? This company's not going to work out. No, it's not making money. No, they have the why, but I don't really care about the why. Now, for the first time, we see that he does care about the why. This organization that was brought to him is a philanthropic one that has to do with orphans, foster care, if I recall, and it does touch him, and he decides to go for it and invest his own money. That's the healing that we see. That's the behavior that came out of the Han through the healing, and look at that. He invests money in an organization that normally he wouldn't. Right? His associate had to always defend these organizations, and he would just not even listen. That's the difference I want to talk to you about. So, folks, how can you forgive yourself? We don't really see it blatantly, but Han Ji-pyeong forgave himself. Let go of that regret and remorse that he felt he owed Halmuni for the money that he stole, but he's turning it into success, into good, right? Building this career where he can have the affordability to invest in others and make a difference. I need you to understand that self-compassion comes first before you can be compassionate to others. I also need you to understand that you need to forgive yourself. How can you do that? Well, ask yourself. That lack of forgiveness based on regret and remorse and that Han can eat away at you. And the bottom line is you can never forgive anyone else. Really, this is what I believe, if you cannot forgive yourself. The concept of mental health, circular, right? Things come back in full circle, hence that phrase. Forgiveness, it's going to keep coming back at you, the lack of forgiveness that you cannot show yourself because you can't show others that, and you don't want to feed off the Han. Now, there's times that Han can fuel you for survival, yes. But again, to be clear, for good mental health, self-compassion and forgiveness are necessary for healing in your Han. You can have both at the same time, Han and healing, constantly in a circle. I'm not talking about getting rid of the Han. Han Ji-pyeong did not do that. That's what actually brought him to survival. It's just that for the first time, he forgave himself, heard Halmuni's words, and got emotional and said, you're right, I am lonely. This is not what I want. And so then he makes a shift in his career and the choices he makes. How are you going to make that shift in your career, in the choice you make? How can you work through the mom guilt? How can you forgive yourself for things that you may have said and done? I need you to ask yourselves that and then make those steps to do it. I'm calling you forward to do that. There's not one right way. That's why I'm not saying this is what you do. That's why I'm asking you these questions. Mom guilt, for instance, you'll be constantly living with. It's not like you get rid of the mom guilt. It's just that you're working through the mom guilt, going, I believe in my career, but I also love my kids. There are times I might need to do more in my work, but then I can make it up with times with my kids. Does that make sense? Mom guilt, because I also deal with that. So I want to share that. But there's other guilts too. So that said, forgiveness comes first through forgiving yourself, self-compassion necessary, and being mindful of what that looks like, and non-judgmental in all of it. Meaning, accept where you're at, accept what you're feeling, accept those emotions, acknowledge it. What can you do about them is the question I ask, not questioning how you're feeling. Han healing happiness can happen all at the same time. Find the Han like Han Ji-pyeong did. Thanks for watching, folks. This was Noona's Noonchi's Deep Dive. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so you can get notified of new videos each week.